My conversation today on Behind the Act is with Johnny Nyxx. He's a songwriter, a filmmaker, and an artist. And today we're talking about his intense yet fluid and low friction creative process, as well as how we both define success while trying to balance personal well being. I'm Seth Schaefer. This is Behind the Act with Johnny Nyxx. What brought you to Atlanta?
So Atlanta, I came down here for a music conference. It's called A3C. It was a music conference, and I was experiencing my first ideas of wanting to get into the music industry as an artist. Going to that conference was really cool. Lots of people all compact in one place, and you're just seeing what your music career might look like. The following years when I moved down here, I lived in Colorado prior, and Colorado is a fun place, but a little too relaxed for someone who wants to go out and touch the globe. So yeah, it just chasing art in every sense. There's the film studios up the street. Then you've got the music scene, all the people that have come out in the music scene here. Then you've got some more like fine arts in some areas like sprinkled throughout Atlanta too. So
Tell me what you're doing in the on the video side, but also the films or the music side.
video first. Actually just am coming out of a little bit of a hiatus with video. I did a very lengthy project. It was like 75 interviews, edited all of those, and then just even creating like the question slides for each interview times 75 was just a huge undertaking. So after completing that project and seeing that through its end, I just, I was like, all right, let me calm down on the film aspect. But more recently, I've been writing short films. My goal there is to have like seven to nine, 7 to 12 minute shorts in the next 5 years.
Jeez. Okay.
I want to get really sharp at maybe 5 pages, 6 pages of really great, artistry, and then graduate into 17 to 25 minutes. And then hopefully by age 40, I would like to do a feature. I'm trying to, maybe, I don't know if that trajectory is right as far as like mapping that out, but
Yeah.
I just want to complete the steps until I wake up one day and say, all right, well, I got 7 45-minute shorts, so I might as well do a feature on the next one.
Right. What is it, narrative or documentary or?
Narrative right now. Yeah, I have been writing just like narrative shorts.
Cool.
I'm writing with friends, so that's fun. And then I've been filming for 13 years, so
Right.
it's cool. It's cool. On the music side,
Let's just say that in addition to all the music stuff. Yeah.
on the music side, I have been making a record a week since November of 2023.
Okay.
And a part of my entry into creating a record a week started out with, it was a form of like an apprenticeship at a label out here where you pay them, they give you a session a week, and at the end of the 3-month contract, they evaluate if they want to push your music, if your music is, if they can get it placed, they can get it synced. And being in Atlanta, I should have known, but it ended up being a little bit of a iffy situation, just not being able to trust that the person had the contacts that they said they had, but they were able to provide me with a producer that I really enjoy and someone who makes my music now continually every week, even after being outside of that apprenticeship. So I'm still making a record a week.
Dude, that's awesome.
Wanting to put out music.
Talking about that film project you did, because that had to do with music and stuff as well, right? 75
Right,
videos or
right. So the film project I was working on, it is for an online e-learning platform that me and a friend own, and that whole platform is geared towards teaching the music business. And we went around the nation, filmed 75 different artists, practitioners just across the space, and put them all on one platform so anyone starting out, novice, or even, you know, someone who's well entrenched there could still take something and learn from it.
So, I mean, just so the listeners know, I literally don't know. Where would I find that?
Okay, so
Because last year I spent a ton of time trying to figure out the music industry as we were talking about, you know.
the platform is called We Working University, and it's online. It is pre-recorded videos, so we spoke to anyone from Fat Joe, Gary V, Charlemagne, Bone Thugs and Harmony, all the way to publicists, booking agents, tour agents, managers. It, like, just all giving their aspects of it.
Amazing.
And we're currently we've gone really high with it. I mean, not really high, but we've reached a point where we're still figuring out the marketing, and we're just trying to figure out how to keep it going. But it's
When
done
did you
really
release
well. It released in 2019, January 2019. So it's been about 4 years,
Yeah.
but almost 800 students later.
So you're creating a song a week, and you've got short films coming up and a feature, and you talked about throwing graphics on 75 different pieces, and you drove around the country and did all these interviews. You clearly have a level of grit. Where does that come from?
Man, that's a really good question. A level of grit. I think it comes from potentially being able to take care of people closest to me, maybe. I think it also comes from just my not being neglectful to my own desire. I think at some point in life, I think I might have thought that wanting a lot could be viewed as a bad thing,
Yeah.
like, or not being grateful. So I think if I want something, or if I want a specific lifestyle, then I think it only makes sense to kind of like work for it. I want a lot. I got expensive taste, I guess. And I wouldn't mind having a grand piano in the living room, or a cello, or this, or things that I can pick up and play with at any time and have enough space to create it, and then, go ride the motorcycle, But I don't necessarily have that lifestyle just yet, but I think that a part of my grit is also what I want, potential family, things like that. But more than anything, now that I'm further into that thought about grit, I think it's just an appreciation for life, man. Like, I don't know when this is gonna be over for me, as far as being able to exist and in this vessel and share the energy that comes from this vessel to the world around me. Unfortunately, I've had to grapple with that, like, early on. So I think the grit might not necessarily be grit, more than it is like appreciation, and just like, holy, like, I get to live another day. Like, that hits me like in the morning, and it's just like, well, what can I do? Like, because I don't know. There are people that don't make it home, and I'm not blind to that. I'm not going to pretend to be blind to it.
When you say grapple with that, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah. Just understanding the idea that life isn't. So it's twofold. Like, this existence for now, we got AI and robots and all kinds of things happening right now. But for now is gonna cease to be in to be expressed in the way that it's being expressed. It's gonna change. So, but I like living. I
Yeah.
like it a lot.
What is your goal with the art, and how does that mentality and stuff flow into what you do?
So understanding that like life is like the expression of this lifestyle is gonna change, right? I don't think it'll cease to exist, but I think it will change. And I think that energy that's there in everyone or in life that is propelling what we're all living forward is at the core of every individual. So being the kind of person that I am, it's like I very much like to honor like what I like to honor myself, and I like myself to go out into the world in like the purest like form. So if it's true that like me or that the source that is life might transform into something else and almost live like a never ending like discovery or evolution of itself, then when it comes to me like as an artist, I want my art to like live on just by way of like, because I'm gonna go somewhere after this. I think in whatever form, like I'll be there. But in the same way, Prince's music is still affecting people every day.
Yeah.
It's like I want to be like that across the mediums, though.
Yeah.
Film, music,
Yeah.
and my canvas art.
That's amazing. This, I love it.
Thanks.
This is cool.
Thanks.
Okay, so talking about canvas art, which is for people that are just listening, can you describe what that is?
I do value art, obviously, that this is one of my favorite pieces. But the way that this is sitting on the wall here, it doesn't feel like I can really get around it. Like, I feel like I'm looking at it from one perspective. So I had been trying to figure out for a while, like, how to give, like, more of a, I guess, 3D perspective of what a canvas could be. And the closest thing I could get was these. So
Yeah.
I've been toying with these and figuring out how I'm gonna lay down like my first exhibition and what it'll look like, but it'll be similar to like
They're like canvas cubes though, right? Like
yeah, canvas cubes and like how to shape them in different ways. Am I gonna maybe have like 12 different pieces? Maybe one is only 5 cubes, maybe one is like 20, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of experimentation to do with it, but that is one of my goals for 24 is just to like have at least my first exhibition. Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
I think so, yeah.
Exhibition.
Yeah. And if not, people will correct it in the
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah, correct me, please. Created. And then, just to show people, because I haven't necessarily seen it like this in a lot of places, but hey, even if it's out there, it's just me creating.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. You have a high level of competence on the music side and the film side and the canvas side or whatever else you're putting your brain into. I mean, clearly, if you're getting the interviews that you're getting for your 75 interviews, like there's competence on every level. How do you stay focused when you I guess how do you make sure that you're keeping all of those balls moving? Because that's a lot of distractions from each other thing, but also I honor the need to go play and enjoy life,
Yeah.
but like a lot of times I think that for me, that can turn into distractions and don't let me do some other things that are important to me, but
Super interesting. I think for right now, at least, Well, the first thing is I try not to leave things undone unless I'm gonna just leave it undone. Right?
That's huge.
Let's say I have a song. This happened last week actually. I wrote a really cool song. Well, I wrote the hook to a really what I think thought could be a really cool song, and I get in the studio and I'm going to lay down the verses for this song. And it just didn't deliver the way that I was. I was like, ah. And my producer, he was like, yeah, nah, like, you've done better. So I emotionally was like, I'm going to let this, I've done what I'm going to do to this record. Just the hooks.
Awesome.
And I asked him, I'm like, do you know anyone that could get on this song? Like, does anyone that would want to feature? And he's like, yeah. So someone who's signed to RCA, he sent it over. They liked it, and I should hear back. But if it's gonna be left undone, then I'll leave it undone in that sense of like, okay, I've carried this as far as I can carry it with ease, because I won't create out of like friction. It is very hard for me. I like everything with ease. That might be a little bit to my detriment, but for the majority of my life, if it doesn't feel like I'm moonwalking when I'm doing it and it doesn't have that glide to it, just that effortlessness, then it's for me it's a little bit hard to like stay in that pocket with it. Now, in regards to business is a little bit different. That's like creative. Business is a little bit different because that's all really entrepreneurship is like, how big is your freaking nozzle for your extinguisher, because you're just putting out fires for and on and on, and it's actually very uncomfortable. But that uncomfortability is like, if you see if you're seeing a return, like it kind of is like offsetting. I don't know, like it's so weird. Like, so I like to answer your question. I know I just went a roundabout way of answering it, but to answer your question, if it's with ease, all of it gets done, and I usually like to create from ease. But if it is tumultuous and it has a benefit, then like at the end of the day, like you got to be fed. So I'm just going for me. I'm going for me, and it's like, as long as the end of the day, like leaning on me, which I want a lot of good for this world, and it's like, if I can, through my actions of working hard and grit, can give what I want to the world eventually, which is good music, good art, love, light, then hey.
I love it.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
a little bit of work. Ain't never hurt nobody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You, from the outside, seem like someone who has no fear, and you never are afraid, and you just push forward. But it seems like most of the time when I talk with artists, they all, and myself included especially, have fear. Do you have, what's your relationship with fear around creating?
Fear in creating. Well, I would say I don't like to, like you're saying, like from the outside, like I don't like to tamper with fear too much. And if I am tampering like in that realm where it's like, I am scared of A, B, C, D. I don't know what happened to me growing up or why it's like this, but I'm usually going straight into it. Like, if I am afraid, I won't be afraid for long. But I feel like I've just taken a lot of the opportunities, which fear for me is like, it's opportunistic in the sense. Because there's a diamond on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who knows if it's going to be like a 2 carat, you know what I'm saying? Or like how big the diamond is going to be. But usually on the other side of your fear is like some sort of reward. So when I think about fear, and I do have one major fear, but that I'll tell you about in a second, but my relationship with fear is, I don't know, maybe I'm a little greedy. Like it's like it's like I think that it's opportunistic. It's like, so how much, cuz right over there it's like I just feel like my brain is wired to like get the best out. So it's like I don't know. It's like I'll see it, and if it's gonna give me a return, like I'll stand on the stage and perform, or I'll go approach someone that I really want to talk to.
Yep.
But I do have one fear, and it is that I not getting what I want pulled through this reality, not pulling what I want into reality in the time that I have, which is a little interesting because I don't know how much time I have. So it kind of makes me work hard.
Do you have a specific stated goal with as much concreteness as like a Gary Vee, where he's like, I want to buy a sports team, you know, like, because I think what you mentioned earlier is like, you know, it was ideas of having a piano and a cello and a, you know, and a motorcycle. And, you know, those are, I think that that's a quickly cascading into forever, you know, 5 mansions and 6 boats. And, you know,
Like,
unless,
what
if you don't
is
have
that?
like a specific goal, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Or is it like, it's just more and more drives you, or,
Okay. I feel like I'm not even gonna think about it. So I feel like it's a pendulum in my mind, like my success pendulum. The most success that when I think about success or what keeps me going, it's on one end of this pendulum. It's, am I bringing my 1000% of myself into this moment,
yeah.
right? And am I actually focused here, breathing this air, hearing the hum of this fan? Am I feeling the temperature in this room? What does my body feel like against this chair? There have been times where I wasn't thinking about any of those things, not grounded into the reality that I'm currently existing within. So I feel like that is very successful, especially in a world that isn't very grounded. So
Yeah.
that's like one form of like success for me. And then on the other end of that pendulum is like, what does happen when you bring your best self into the moment every second? If it's truly your best self,
Yeah.
if it really is your best self, like, wouldn't, like, your best financial self, your best physical self, your best mental self, like your best, it's like going in the direction of all of those things incrementally, and it doesn't, it's, I don't think okay, like it, my question in my head is like, does the best financial me, does he stop buying houses? Like, if I do I does that mean I'll get to a point and say like, oh, like I've done enough? Or like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. A part of me, like, I haven't achieved a lot of what I want, but I'm just gonna be bringing my best self into it. And if that ends up being, I've got 13 houses and maybe 2 apartment buildings, like, or it might end up being I got 13 kids. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm studying a lot. I'm reading a lot. I'm studying about how people who I admire utilize the resources that they've worked for. So It's like, I don't know. I'm not sure, but the first things first, being here and like using the time in a in a way that is you being your best, like, is huge. I think it only begets, you know, the output. So
Yeah.
I
I
don't know
love
how
that.
far it'll go,
I love
but
that.
who knows?
Yeah. A story that, it's been a long time since we've met, but you probably haven't heard my story. I hit a point of burnout. It's that more was like, oh, I this is not making my life better to continue to fight forward. Like I needed a moment. I hit a hard burnout point, and
I know the feeling of that.
yeah,
That
but
is a very interesting place to
it
be.
is. But I mean, but it's also like what triggered going back heavily into the music side, realizing that I could be gone from my family the entire time that the boys are growing up and not be home because I'm chasing more, you know? Like, and so realizing that some of the more is being home, some of the more is being kind and true to myself in what I need, not just push, 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 push. And,
Yeah.
because if I'm unhealthy, I'm not there for anybody else or anything else on any good level. And so I definitely get the vibe of like, yeah, just like the sky's the limit. I'm like, totally. And if you stay healthy in that, I think it's great. But I think it can like just be cautious. I mean, you're doing the right things. Like the fact that you're talking about noticing the fan next to you and the way that the chair feels on your body, like you're present,
But
and
that is
you're also crushing it on your stuff. And
thanks.
you're showing up and you're finishing stuff. So it's
Yeah.
killer.
I mean, dang, that is good to know though. Just that'll be good for me to hold on to once kids are brought into the equation. I definitely want a family.
Mm-hmm.
And to that point, it's like if I'm smart, I'm 32. I just turned 32.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm smart, I'll get on my goal is to have like some form of passive like going really well.
Right.
I've had glimpses of it and it's real nice. Okay?
Yep.
But to get it going like really well before I have or first couple years of my kid's life, like that would be nice. Which to the point of like, why do I work so hard? I'm just trying to. By the time I'm 35, I'm
Yeah.
32. 3
Yeah.
more years of like. At this point, it's not really burning. I was about to say burning at both ends. It's different now. I'm in a different space where I feel like showing up doesn't necessarily feel like it's burning out. It feels like it's somehow like being recycled. Maybe it's because it's
Awesome.
like fun. Maybe it's
Right.
because I'm like doing what I love. So, and I have a job. That's another thing that like having a job that is flexible. I don't start work until 5 p.m. and I go in the evening, so I have all morning and day to create, and I'm not trading what I love for like financial means, which is in the burnout lane, like a fast way to burn out.
Totally.
You have to like go work when you're allowing something that you love to turn into a means of like the love kind of like really fades in the background, almost disappears until you have to like uncover it again. And you have to like take off all of the money that you stacked on top of it. And you're like, oh, I still love this? Like, great. Cause I thought it was the end. Like I thought I'm never doing film for 13 years. You're like, I'm never touching a camera again. I went after doing that project. I mean, of 75 interviews, 26 question slides times 75. And like it was just me, one by one.
Yep.
And your brain, like I actually amazed myself at what I could do, but that was like almost a form of like trauma, like looking back,
Yeah.
like in a weird way, like I just wanted the freedom so bad that by the end of me reaching towards it,
Yeah.
the only thing left was like my wrist
Right.
and trying to grab it. But I burnt all the rest of myself just like reaching out for it. And it's like, you just got to be really careful.
Yes, but that type of grit, that type of workload that you put upon yourself without anything in return forever, it feels like sometimes is what turns into that residual that you're talking about. If you do it the right way, like you're crushing the music stuff out consistently. And I don't know how to monetize narrative film stuff, but I'm certain that there are ways, right? But and like in our world, we do stock stuff, like stock video, stock photo, mainly stock video,
Really?
on that side. But then I want to do the same similar licensing model on the music front, through
Okay.
like sync or whatever.
Okay.
Because yeah, I like little tiny payments lots of times, over and over and over, more so than I get excited about like one big payment, because like you say, as more comes in, the closer you are to like truly free, like financially speaking, like obviously you have to live within your means and everything too, but but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I totally, I get it. I was talking to somebody the other day about it, and they're like, man, I just wish that I had that residual income. And I was like, we like, it doesn't cover all of our bills, but we have like 7,000 clips that we put up on our stock site, that are all, 30 seconds or 15 seconds with titles and tags and colored and upload, like it's a lot of work,
You did it?
but we did it. Yeah. And like, we're not finished. Like we're still going to be, we're
Doing
going to
it.
continue to plug stuff in because it's great. Obviously there's one of the episodes either before this or after this. I'm not sure how it'll cascade in the release schedule, but is talking with Dr. Rebecca Swift from Getty Images about the implications of AI on, stock footage and just the commercial photography world.
Wow.
It's a pretty cool conversation that made me feel about 1 billion times better than I did before I talked to her. And
Okay.
it's good. It's cool.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing that episode as well. Cause I'm like, I love film again, but
Yeah.
they don't need me.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
I'm watching these videos being generated by words. And I'm like, wow.
So I think the question though is like, was it ever that you were going to be the best, or is it really just a documentation of your experience and how you express yourself?
I like that
it's
perspective.
always only been that.
Yeah.
You're never going to be the best because there's no such thing. So
Right.
like championing yourself and not being deflated because somebody else is really good. If it's AI or it's a human or whatever, fine. Like, but like
You could still be good too.
and yeah, and good is just honest about and authentic with your art. Like, be risky, like, I mean, playing the songs that I played for you, like they're weird, quote unquote, but they're risky, and it moves me personally. So
I don't think they're
like,
weird at all.
I know you know what I mean, but I'm just saying.
Listen, if you guys don't know, this man makes phenomenal music.
Oh, thanks.
It's really good.
I'm excited to release it.
It's
too,
like,
yeah.
it is really shockingly good. So
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
I'm
I mean,
excited.
but ironically, okay, let's talk about this. I shared with you 3 unfinished songs,
Yeah.
and
Very good.
well, no, but you talked earlier about how you don't leave stuff, like you finish stuff, and I love that, and that's something I have been learning because I, at one point it was like 1,100 voice memos that I went through and pulled out some absurd number of like ideas that I like. To me, they're all songs I could go and just chase right now, like 128 or something like that. I guess that's absurd, but like ideas that are like, that's like, okay, these are really good starts because I was good at documenting them, but not finishing them. So that's the last couple of years has been my focus on like, do I know how? Do I have the, you know, the space and the tools, and let's just make sure I'm the problem. And then that's what I've been working on. So
Are you going back through your voice memos and boom, boom, song after song after
I
song?
haven't yet because I want to stay focused on the songs that I sent you so I finish them. Right.
Okay.
So I have them set aside, and like I'll play after this. I'll play a song I recorded right as I was running out of the house because I was like, ooh, in my head I just heard this thing, and I go play it. You know.
Mhm.
So I always want to capture those moments because I remember on the way out of the house to come here, um, I played this thing really quick. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I'll record that later." And I was like, "No, no, no, no. You never remember it, of course." You know, so I do have an addiction to like dropping them into memos because sometimes I listen back and I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine, whatever." And then sometimes I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's freaking hooky. That's
Yeah.
cool." So
I have, to that regard, I have a ton of memos. I haven't completed all those memos, but and I think it might have been earlier. We were talking about that apprenticeship that you get, a session a week. They gave me a session a week,
mhm.
and that was it. But that session only lasted 4 hours. And it's interesting, like what I've been able to turn that 4 hours into from the start up until now. Now, I still am creating the songs that I'm making within a 4 hour window, which is,
Amazing.
it's very interesting because I have to do a lot prior. Like I only do it once a week, and I'll have to write. Let's say the session's on Wednesday. I get out of a session on Wednesday, and I start writing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'll pick the stems, or I might play something on the guitar. I'll pick that Thursday, and I'll be just looping it in my head, and I'll just be writing it. And then by the time I get there, he might take my loop and build it out for 2 hours, and then I'll lay the vocals for 2 hours, and then that's it.
And out, it's done.
It's done.
That's cool.
Because I could spend so long. I could spend so long like nitpicking and this and
Yeah.
that, and I have before, especially at the onset. But I don't know. Like I just trust myself. I'm not gonna. It's just like I just trust it. It's like, hey, this is from me to you, and I might make you a cake that is 15 layers at one day, and give you all the bells and whistles and sparklers and everything. But what I am making in those 4 hours, like this is awesome. You're gonna love it. Trust me. Just trust me.
That's called maturity, I think. I don't have that yet with my music, but
Really?
on the film side I do. I feel so, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, on the music side, I'm a little kid and scared of
Okay.
judgment. You know,
I
like
can respect that.
yeah, yeah.
I can respect that.
And yeah, I've just said that like a million times on this episode, on this podcast. But
Really?
and I'm yeah, but I think that the biggest thing is I know I'm moving forward and I'm getting closer, and I actually have music I'm working on right now that is going to be released that I have, you know, some ownership in, and that's really my goal, is to just consistently be working on and releasing something. But the maturity of being able to go, yeah, it's 4 hours. I've got another friend, Andy Bowen, who was on this on an earlier podcast, that super prolific, man. He just writes and writes and writes and does awesome stuff, you know, and then
Really?
is like you know, he's got the grit, and it comes in
What's his
waves. You know?
name?
Andy Bowen.
Andy Bowen.
Andy Bowen.
Bowen.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff does he write?
Rap stuff. I'll play it for you
Okay.
later. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I
He's
wanna
got
check
some
it.
really, I mean, really cool sounds.
He's a writer though.
Yeah. Yep. He, but again, he's more mature than I am, and you're more mature than I am on the music output stuff. And I think on the art, on all the art stuff, like I let fear get in my head at a young age, and it didn't fight it hard enough early, or I guess like let go enough early when it comes down to it, you know?
Really?
I
I
know.
don't really see that.
I
Like,
know.
but you're traveling across
Well, look at
the.
my Spotify page right now that doesn't exist. That's what I'm talking about. Like I've got plenty of songs, and I mean,
I'm not
I'm not. I
sure.
mean, I'm fine now. Like I really do think so. Like I'm, I'm ready to go just fail in that and be fine. And I know that the judgment out there, like I know logically, the judgment is like I don't care. Like people they've said lots of dumb things about me, about all kinds of things, but it's just being realistic about it and being honest about it too. Like like I know a lot of people that don't release their art because they're afraid. It's like, so if I say it, hopefully other people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna say?
That's super. I just, it's intriguing for me to think about that because I guess the first thing I'm wondering about is what it's like I'm buying it, but then I'm not too because you've already, in a sense, like conquered your fear with like the film stuff because you're traveling across the nation
Yeah.
and you talk to someone from Getty, you're talking to this
I'm
person.
not afraid of that at all. The film set doesn't scare me one bit. It was the attachment of what it means to be a musician baked into me from the time I was 2 because I played piano before I said my first words, kind of stuff, and like so my identity was attached to the music. So growing up, the external perception of me was always like, "Hey, Seth is a piano player. Seth is a musician. Seth, can you do that thing that makes us all clap so that you?" So
Okay. I
it
feel
had
that.
it had more to
feel
do
that.
with me just
In
me
that lane.
and then me taking that in as my identity and then knowing how good I'm not and seeing the extra, it's like all that stuff.
Man,
Yeah.
well,
So
you're really good.
yeah.
Like,
No, I appreciate
what?
that.
Like,
Well, but it comes down to
really
the same thing.
good.
Like let's talk about AI, right? Like, I mean, let's not really go down that rabbit hole too much, or I don't care, whatever. Sorry. Let's talk about what I just said about AI and AI's competence, right? In writing songs. Like, fine, if it could play piano better than I can, quote unquote, like, fine, who cares? Because there's a billion other piano players that play piano better than I do. I'm the only one that had my emotional experience and played something that day. That's what I feel about it. That's how it sounds. That's my piano. Also, like in my case, I have a piano that I lucked out and got and freaking love, and it sounds amazing, and it's its own vibe too. And it's like I just whatever. To me, it's not about me being better than other people anymore. It's more about me honoring that my existence can be captured too and has value because I exist, not because of anything else.
You're the only one.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you're the only one that will be able to give me this.
That, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I heard earlier,
Yep.
only one, no one else.
Right. Exactly.
That is amazing.
And same thing with you every single week in those 4 hours. You sit down and it's you
Yeah, it's just me.
creating what you're creating, capturing that moment to share with other people.
Do you think that? Do you think that? And I don't mean to like. My friends say that I pry and prod them like too much, but like maybe for your birthday you'll have some stuff up.
Oh, by December?
Yeah.
Oh, dear gosh. I hope it's not that long.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. No. I mean, what I committed to was which songs I'm going to be working on, and I shared those with you. I've got some others I'll play for you too, but
Cool. So it's done, really.
well, yeah, those are I just need to. Sorry, we just moved our studio again, so
Oh,
I just
really?
moved into that place I sent you a video.
Oh,
of. When we moved to Nashville, we built a studio. Spent a bunch of time learning about how that even works. And what I need, and then asking questions and failing and failing and failing in a good way, like just happily, like ask questions. I don't know, answer this question. And then I was ready to release my music, and then we moved. And so that's been the last couple of months or whatever. And so now that studio is 99% put together and ready to go. So
I can't wait to
yeah,
come.
I'm so excited, man.
Bro,
Come over.
I
Yeah,
really will
sure.
come and just
Yeah.
like chill for like 2 or 3 days and like
Dude,
make
totally.
some shit.
You're welcome, man.
Okay.
You're welcome. I mean, it's 4 hours away. It's like not a big deal.
So where are you? You're going to Orlando?
Yeah, right now I'm on my way down to Orlando to visit family. So
Wow.
yeah. And then who knows, maybe film another podcast down there. Or,
Yeah. Do you
Stock
just find
footage and-
people? Like, how does it work?
I don't know. It just keeps working. And I mean, you responded and said, yeah, let's do it. It's been a long time, but I just saw your stuff. You're posting stuff on Facebook. And I was like, oh, let's
He's right
talk.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The
I mean, but I wouldn't have
universe.
known that you were doing anything music wise had I not seen that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I thought you were still doing video stuff and living in Denver, or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
Like,
Yeah, the universe, man. The
yeah,
universe is it's a lover. It's so
yeah,
interesting. Like I'm imagining the types of people that have been on this podcast and like I don't know what you believe about the universe, but somehow like there's a law of the universe where it says like attracts like. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but
heard that. Yeah.
like the universe seamlessly like finds a way to like take care of everything. And it's like I'm amazed. Some people say it's a simulation. Whoever wrote the algorithms
Crushed it.
hard
Some hard code.
yeah, like completely
Yeah.
hit out the park. I'm like I
And
mean,
they did it before computers. How did they?
I'm like, how did they? Yo, who would have thought? Like, it's amazing. It really is. Like how all of this, like you hit me up, you're here. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're gonna be somewhere else.
What's your advice to anyone about life? To have your presence, your kindness and openness and all the things.
Two pieces of advice. The one that I just relearned since my hiatus and kind of just like laying like once you burn out and you don't realize and you start to realize what you've done to what you've done to the idea you have of yourself, to that specific version of you, you kind of gotta like rebuild in a different way. And um when I was working in the way that I was working that caused burnout, I I remember I used to have a specific focus, and it was that everything has to happen like it has to happen now. Like as long as you keep moving and keep working, you kind of will get it done and you stay focused. I just had to relearn that, but I think I am currently in the process of modifying it. Um, but it is something along the lines of like keep moving, like don't sit still for too long. And I think I would sprinkle in like in the adjustment of that, like just continuously be working. I would say like continuously be having fun with and doing what you love. Even if it means you have to work a job and you get instead of doing what you love for your whole existence, like maybe you have to work a little bit and then still do what you love outside of that time, like but I would say try not to like on at the onset. If you love it, like maybe it can turn into money, but like just be careful about that. That's the first thing. The second thing.
Just to clarify,
Mhm.
you're saying don't let the creation of art and its attachment to money get in the way of your love for it, or is that a
It's
mishear you?
such a yeah, and I'm having a hard time expressing what I want to say, but it's the idea of if you love it, just make sure it is in that same vein of for me, when I would pick up a camera and literally film cars going by, or when I just wanted to figure out how Premiere worked, and still like I was still like digging for like, okay, how do I get this clip in place? Okay, how do the colors work? And it's like that like genuine curiosity of like, okay, how is this here? And like
Yeah.
that part of it, like once that part stops, just that is the check engine light. Once that part stops, when you stop wanting to like, okay, how can this work? Or how, when it's just like, I'm going to take this set of tools and I'm going to just repeat this over and over and give me money, repeat over and over. No exploration. No, oh, I like this. No, I don't really like that. No, diving deeper into that bag just to explore it. Once the exploration stops, like just check engine light. That's the best way to explain that.
I love that.
The second thing, advice. Oh, the second thing that came to mind when you asked that question was to, like, if you can bring yourself to look in the mirror and be completely honest about what you're seeing, about what you like, what you don't like, what you really want, if you can begin to discover those things, like, and if you can withstand the reflection of that mirror, no matter the hue of like color that's there, it might be bright, but it might also be dark. So no matter the hue, like if it's really dark, if you could stay in there, like it will change your entire life. That's what I those are the two pieces of advice. Is like just enjoy the reflection no matter how dark it gets, and try not to let what you love shy away from like the exploration and like discovery and awe.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing with other people you think might gain value from it. My name is Seth Schaefer. This is Behind the Act.